Hello, you're watching TopTenzNet, I'm Simon Whistler, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 myths about sex. There is a lot of sex talk out there, but there are just as many fallacies finding their ways between the sheets as there are truths. Now, we all know that the size of a man's appendage versus his outer extremities, hand, head, foot, has no proven correlation, and nor does the act of self-gratification stand to make one go blind. There are, however, several myths that have not been publicly chastised for their ridiculous nature, and are often still believed to be truth rather than fiction. In the video today, we're looking at those top 10 myths about sex.
The top 10 myths about sex. Number 10. A cold shower dashes the libido. A cold shower has been said to curb peak sexual appetite simply by reducing the amount of testosterone levels in men and estrogen levels in women. There is simply no proven basis for this belief, and in fact, an English study for thrombosis has shown that a cold shower actually stimulates libido by increasing hormone levels. The end result is even more sexual excitement than was first started with. Take heart, all the anxious ladies and gentlemen, as I hear a ball-peen hammer and wooden plank still does wonders for destroying one's sexual appetite. Number 9. The power of a lover's stare. The power of a lover's stare has been written in romance novels ever since an ink pen was first laid to a piece of parchment. True lovers have been said to have the ability to stare into each other's eyes for hours on end, falling in love again and again without ever growing tired. However, what has actually been found in studies is that staring at your lover has about a 50-50 chance of promoting feelings of love and passion. The other 50% of the time it promotes aggression and annoyance, which has been documented in a couple of studies as fighting and arguing. I guess it's true, all is fair in love and war. Number 8. Sex during the final stages of pregnancy. A lot of expecting couples express fear of hurting their baby during intercourse, especially during the final trimester. However, most research today not only shows that intercourse is completely safe for the child, but it can actually promote a healthier, speedier labor and delivery. It's an old wives' tale that sex is bad for the fetus once it's past a certain stage of growth. Many doctors say that you should be able to have a healthy sexual relationship with your partner right up until the day of delivery. You can chalk much of this myth up to a man's over-exaggeration of his unit. Number 7. Thinking of someone else during sex is a bad sign for a relationship. Did you know that upwards of 90% of all sexually active folk in the world think about someone else during sex with their partner? It is actually a completely natural part of a healthy sexual relationship. The majority of folks think about friends, neighbors, or co-workers, while a slightly smaller percentage, 25% of Canadian men, prefer fantasizing about imaginary characters. Everything from Betty Boop to the Lone Ranger has run through the minds of countless lovers over the decades, and should not be considered an indicator that a relationship is headed for the rocks. Number 6. Women and fast cars, a modern myth. If you were to ask a woman today if she was turned on by the growl of a big engine, she would probably scoff at the thought. In fact, in light of the popular green movement, it is now popular for women to prefer men who drive environmentally friendly vehicles, such as the Toyota Prius. However, a recent study says differently, a lot differently. It turns out that women show substantial increases in sexual arousal, measured by testosterone in saliva, when listening to the sound of a high-performance Maserati, as compared to a low-performance Volkswagen VW Polo. In fact, the VW actually decreased the arousal of the women below that of the baseline of watching the nerdy scientists test their equipment before the study began. Talk about an anti-aphrodisiac. Number 5. Inbreeding produces babies with 3 heads. While considered a bit of a joke, inbreeding has been said to cause everything from a baby with 3 heads to mutant X-Men. In truth, while inbreeding should not necessarily be considered a good thing, it's not nearly as bad as some people think. A 30-year Western Australian study looked at cultures who regularly practice first-cousin marriages and found no abnormalities in their offspring beyond that of what would be expected from any other traditional unrelated couple. The same myth also implies to inbred animals, who are not considered the weaker of the species. Number 4. Race is a good indicator of man's sexual endowment. While some races have enjoyed basking in the limelight of these rumors, there is actually no scientific basis for this myth. While your cousin's friend who knew a girl who dated several professional basketball players claims that the myth may be true, a study from the Porterback Clinic, Royal Hallamshire Hospital, and St James's Hospital say differently. The study found that a man's physical endowment has absolutely nothing to do with his race, creed, or color. It has much more to do with that haphazard toss of the genetic die that came soon after that glimmer from our parents' eye. Number 3. Plentiful sex and the swinging single. While it is a common belief that once you get married, sex gets thrown out the window, most research suggests that married couples actually have more sex than the swinging single. This is mostly because couples living together are presented with more opportunities to have sex, anywhere from 25 to 300% more opportunity for sex on average. However, over the course of marriage, sex dwindles, leaving the frequency of sex comparable to that of a lifetime of living single. One way to improve your odds of having more sex is to marry multiple times. However, the stress of all those marriages and divorces just might toss you right into an early grave, leaving you with even less sex. Number 2. Sex every 7 seconds. The common belief by many women is that men think about sex at least 1 in every 7 seconds. The truth is, men today are actually too weighed down with thoughts of success and finances to devote that kind of brain power to the subject. In fact, only half of men, 54%, think about sex once per day, according to the Kinsey Institute, while the other 43% designate just a few fantasies spread out over the course of a week. An abysmal 4% think about it just once over the course of an entire month. Talk about a grossly overinflated female chauvinistic rumor. Number 1. Premature ejaculation, PE, is an abnormality. No man has ever been proud to be deemed a premature ejaculator by his lover, but in truth it's more of a hardwired system for survival than an abnormality. The average male can last 5.4 minutes before liftoff, which was biologically pertinent to the population of the planet back in the early days. When faced with man-eating chickens, men had to get the job done quick. There was no time for flowers, song, and love poems. The threat of a Tyrannosaurus charging while in the throes of passion was enough to make him even quicker, which is why anxiety is still one of the leading causes of PE.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video about myths about sex. If you did, I would love it if you gave us a like. Also, the comment section below is for talking about this kind of stuff. Do you agree with these myths? Do you disagree? Do you have another myth to add? I'd love to know. We do read them all. Just leave us a comment below. Also, over there on the right, a couple of other videos you'll probably enjoy if you enjoyed this sex-based list. The top one is the top 10 facts about nymphomaniacs. And then below that, we've got the top 10 reformed porn stars. Some of those people went on to really surprising careers. So be sure to check those out. Do subscribe, do give us a like, and thank you for watching.